What is up, everyone? Welcome to Film Villains. And with us today, we have filmmaker extraordinaire, Mr. Frank Merle. What is up, Frank?
Hello, I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for coming out. You're a member of the PGA. You came out of Chicago. You did a bunch of theater there. You've produced and you directed the movie The Employer. You made a few of the two Jennifer movies, which Alex and I and Hunter and I and Alex worked on a few of them, right?
Yep.
And then you did a movie Forgotten with Tom Sizemore, All Gone Wrong, and Catfish Christmas with Tony Todd,
Yep.
and Blood Covered Chocolate, Driftwood, and Porcelain. Oh, that was also another Hunter movie, huh?
Another Hunter movie. Yep.
Yeah.
You got it.
Written and produced by Hunter. So what's been up, man? How you doing?
It's great. It's great. I've been busy. I shot a movie, a new one that's not on my bio yet. It's called Namaka, set in Hawaii, and it's a dark fantasy film. Hunter was my first AD on that movie.
Really?
We shot that in last December. I'm just finishing up post-production on that now.
Cool. It's called Namaka?
Namaka is the name of the character. It's like Moana. It's based on a Hawaiian mythology.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tell us about the putting that together. What is it?
That
Who wrote
movie,
it? All that?
I wrote the film. That movie stars Jamie Kennedy from Scream and a lot of other stuff. And that's actually getting him involved is how that movie happened. I reached out to him and told him there was a part I had written in a movie, and I thought he'd be perfect for it. And he read it, liked it, agreed, and that's how that movie came together.
Okay, cool. Hell yeah. Cool. So and you're almost done with editing.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Oh, it's so good. It's been 6 months of post-production. I'm editing it primarily myself, and this one's really been sort of my, I want to call it a passion project. I wasn't gonna lock picture until I was really, really happy with it. Now I'm really, really happy with it.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
And how long has the movie been gestating in your mind before?
Oh gosh, I wrote it in 2018. Thought I was going to shoot it before I attached Jamie, I want to say early 2020, and then something happened where we didn't end up shooting it in 2020, and so we put it on the back burner. And then other projects came up. I had to, I was doing COVID compliance officer work to pay my bills for a while in 2020, 2021. Then I produced a Christmas rom-com. That's a project that came to me, Catfish Christmas. Then after that movie was done, circled back to Jamie, said, "Hey, let's get this movie set up. Let's do it." I was working with the schedule, and that's when the strikes happened. So it was a lot of things sort of delayed this movie from happening, and we shot it right after, we were able to finally set dates and shoot the thing after the strikes were over.
Yeah.
But I mean, these are the things you don't anticipate, right? Going into a movie. I mean, so it ended up taking 5 years to make.
Yeah. No, I get it. I have scripts that I wrote 10 years ago that I still want to make. So and what's the plan? Do you guys have distribution on it?
No plan. No, I mean, I think it's a festival type movie because it's very unique, very different. Jamie's amazing in it. I think this could be as big. I don't want to use the word comeback, but I think let's just say his fans are going to really like what he does, well, what he gave us for this film. So I'm working with a sales agent on a strategy that I think will involve some sort of festival premiere, but we'll take it to AFM in November. So that's the plan. The plan is there isn't a plan. I want to see what we can do. But my sales agent is going to take it out and try to drum up some interest.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to talk to you about everything that you've been doing lately when it comes to distribution and getting your films out there. and kind of the state of how things are changing with streaming and just theatrical is not really a thing anymore for little independent films. So, what is kind of give us a summary of like what a new strategy is for, and I assume this is probably something maybe is. What was the budget? I mean, I don't. We can't discuss budgets, but it's not a huge. You're not.
No, I'll say no. It's under $1 million. This is under $1 million. Yes, under $1 million, and every movie I've done has been in the same budget range. And so, yes, it is changing. The employer that was 10 years ago.
Yeah,
that was one of the last movies to get on shelves in Blockbuster, and so that was my big claim to fame at the time. They said, I was. If they made a push and said, gee, if you can get a Blockbuster deal, you'll be all set. And it was great. I think it was like 80,000 DVDs.
Wow.
And I remember, the thrill of walking into a Blockbuster and seeing a wall of the employer was like, as a filmmaker, I had felt like I had made it, and then I, was taking pictures of that. I was calling everyone I knew, go to Blockbuster and see this wall of my movies. And about a week later, they filed bankruptcy. And I want to say it wasn't my fault. The downfall of Blockbuster was not because of my movie. Yeah. But yes, it's changed. It's I think physical media going away is really obviously it's sad. Obviously us fans like physical media. I think there's always going to be a place for it, like there's a place for vinyl records. But it's going to have, physical media is going to have very little to do with distribution, success or failure. I think, in the future, having a few dozen boxes of DVDs that people can take to conventions for signatures is that's going to be what physical media is. It is what physical media is becoming now, right? Especially with the end of Redbox, which is another sad thing for independent films. But it's changing habits, the viewership changing. So I think that film festivals have replaced small theatrical release in terms of a lot of filmmakers want to have at least that one chance to see it on a big screen with an audience, right?
Yeah.
Film festivals can provide that, right? And so film festivals aren't going away. So I think that what does success mean for a low budget independent film? It means a Tubi deal or YouTube. The ad supported streaming is I think where it continues to go. Again, this is changing. If you had asked me 3 years ago, I would have said get a Netflix deal, right? But it's constantly changing, and the fact is people don't want to pay for a movie, right? So every single one of my movies has had a what is it called, the pay-per-view window, right? So for $3.99 you can watch the movie, and the numbers just aren't there. It's very, very hard for if it's not. If you don't have big names, and even if you do have big names, why would anybody pay $3.99 to watch a little independent film that may or may not be any good? I'm saying from the audience's perspective, when you're already paying probably $100 a month for all your streaming services, right?
Oh yeah.
And so from the audience's perspective, they're going to go to where the streaming services. So again, a few years ago, the goal was for all of us to get that deal with Netflix or one of the other exclusive streamers. I think the streaming war is winding down. I think that what did I just read? That production is down 40% from where it was in 2019, and so. Everyone's circling the wagon, tightening their belts. Everything's being produced in-house at Netflix and elsewhere. And so where does that leave independence? Ad-supported. To me, it's got to be ad-supported because people aren't going to pay to see a movie. But people are willing to sit through a few minutes of ads, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So so Tubi and those others, the free streaming, the ad supported streamers. I mean, I'm seeing good for my Christmas movie I did. I'm seeing good numbers on YouTube.
Really? So
Yeah.
and ad supported on YouTube.
Yeah, ad supported YouTube. So there's two ways to watch it on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and click Catfish Christmas, it will come up for $3.99. You can watch it, or you can watch it for free. No one's paying $3.99 to watch it. Nobody. But tens of thousands of people are watching it ad supported.
Yeah, and what's the best returns on the ad supported? Like which streamer is it?
The YouTube's been good. Tubi's good. Okay. I think they all have some. They all have a place. I think that I like why are the same movies showing up on all these different services? Because different people are used to watching their movies on different services, right? So some people are just going to watch on Amazon. Some people really like Tubi, and then there's a lot of there's still pop-ups, like startups, right? I mean, I'm always seeing, watch my movie. It's on this new streaming service that I haven't heard of yet, right? Because the money is out there, right? So advertisers are looking for eyeballs, and everybody's looking for free movies.
Yeah, Jonathan just had his first Tubi original that he directed.
Nice.
Last week.
Nice.
But that's a whole different ball game, because now they make the movie and they're making all the ad revenue on that.
Right. Yeah,
so, I mean, it's good for them, but at least it puts people to work, and
but that's a different story than selling your movie to Tubi. But I have heard and I've seen some of the numbers. When the wars, like you said, the streaming wars are going on, Tubi was the victor before the war had even begun, because of their ad streaming, and everything was free. Like, you could go on for free, but you have the ads, and they had a 75% increase in their revenue. So yeah, it's proven.
Yeah, I mean, last year at the Super Bowl, they were running ads for Tubi, and I was like, okay, they're doing something right, that they can spend that kind of money to remind people that they can watch movies for free. And I have a theory about why ad supported is so popular. I actually think because people's attention spans are so terrible nowadays, we all want to be on our phone while we're watching a movie. Everybody's guilty of it. When you watch an ad supported movie, you know that every 10 minutes or so you're going to get a break. So I actually said, to check your phone or whatever. So I actually think it's easier to commit your attention span to a movie that's ad supported, knowing that you're going to get those breaks, than it is, I have to turn on, Netflix and watch it. I have to pay the premium to watch it straight through, because no one's watching anything straight through anyway. Everybody's distracted, right?
Yeah. That's as a movie purist, I hate that. But then I keep seeing that. And I see that within people making these movies or Tubi originals. They're saying like, oh, your attention, you don't have enough things happening at this point, or at this point, you're competing with the audience that's going to be looking at their phone on the couch and watching your movie. So they want you to adjust the film pacing in your edit to combat that.
Well, I mean, this movie that I've had in post, the movie I'm editing now, I've put more time into the first 5 minutes of the movie than anything else, and rearranged things, and I made sure that we see Jamie Kennedy in the first minute of the movie, and this was all top of mind, is that I know how little time somebody is going to give a movie, to decide whether or not to commit the 90 minutes that I'm asking them to commit, So
and Jonathan, were you required to shape your movie accordingly to where they knew they were going to put the commercials?
Not so explicitly. It was more of like here and there. They'd say, like, for instance, we always had a cold opening that would grab everybody. That opening kill, but then as we were going along, I was trying to give these characters a little more development. But then they would say, no, we need to get faster to the action at this point or this point because there were 3 cuts too. I did my 15-day director's cut. Then there was a production Fox or Mar Vista cut. And then there was the network cut from Tubi. And that was the final one that's on their streaming service. And it changed each time. Just a little bit.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Frank, are you trying to stay conscious about that?
I mean, I'll look forward to that process if it comes to that. I mean, so some of it I'm so cynical. I think to myself that sometimes the suits just want to say something, to put their thumbprint on it, just to say, look, I did that, right?
Yep. Yeah.
They don't want to just say, yeah, the movie's perfect, because there's no such thing as perfection, right? Like that's everything. It's art is subjective, right? So so they step in and say, oh, you've got to do this, that, and the other thing to it. But I don't know. Look, it depends on. I've made the best version of my movie that I can. My sales agent's going to go out and try to sell it as is. But I saw a Q&A one time with Robert Zemeckis, and it was a film school thing. A film school student raised his hand and said, "At what point in your career did you get Final Cut?" And Zemeckis said, "I've never had Final Cut on any of my movies." And you could hear, because it was all film students, this gasp through the audience. And he said, "Robert Zemeckis doesn't have Final Cut." And he said, "Well, I'm spending hundreds of millions of dollars of somebody else's money." So this was from his perspective. Tarantino's going to say something else, but from Zemeckis's, what his perspective was, my job is to make the best movie I can, where they're not going to want to change it, right? Yeah. But the reality is who's ever paying the bills is going to get to have a say, and that's
Well, I'm sure, Frank, just being in all of your experience, like if you have good answers, that's the thing I found, because this was like my first original It was like, I realized if I had good answers of why I wanted to do something a certain way, and they couldn't really argue it, then it stayed.
Yeah, I found that with from Jennifer being a found footage movie, in order to pass QC, you would get these QC notes about they're like the camera, the camera gets too shaky here. It was like, well, that's the point. It's a found footage movie, right? So if you push back and say, no, this was a creative choice, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, Like, I wanted it to look shitty. That was on purpose.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've been through a lot of those QC notes where it's like, fuck, something happened and it didn't come out nice, but that is 100% on purpose. And so I put it on the notes, and they still pass it. It's like, it's a filmmaker intent. So.
I wanted to go back to the commercial breaks, because Chris and you had asked about that, and I know when we did All Gone Wrong, which is a cop thriller with Tony Todd, because that ended up on Tubi, and we were asking them. But it wasn't a Tubi original. They just were going to take it and put the ad breaks wherever. And we were working with Buffalo 8. That was our sales agent. Yeah. And we said, well, can we have some say in where the ads go? And surprisingly, they said yes. They said, we will do them randomly if the filmmakers don't chime in. But they were more than happy to take notes from the filmmakers, right? Okay. So the answer was they would just do it randomly, and I'm sure we've all seen that. Like some movies, the ads are in better places than others, and so they gave us, it was like an ad had to be every, I forget if it was every 8 to 12 minutes or something like that, right? Okay. And so the director just really sat there and looked at his movie and decided and said, this is exactly where I want all my ad breaks, and they did it. So.
Yeah, how much importance are you going to be giving this next film when it comes to film festivals? Let's say you don't make it into the top 20, 30 festivals, that might be a place where buyers are actually watching films, or buying films. How much importance is it now?
I think that would be okay. I feel like my sales agent can just make phone calls and sell the movie. It doesn't mean it's going to sell it for a lot of money, but can get it somewhere. Like there's the good news about production being down 40% is I think it is a good, there's buyers out there, right?
Okay.
So the other thing that happens is a lot of these film festivals, movies are getting programmed that actually already have distribution because somebody knows somebody, right? And then it becomes part of the strategy for releasing the film, right? This was the old Harvey Weinstein method. He would buy up movies and then he'd call up his friends at Sundance and, you know, they would premiere it and then they would announce the sale. So it looked like all these sales were happening.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, because you know they've already been working on the sales well before.
Yes, right. So so I could see a scenario where, you know, we decide to premiere somewhere. It doesn't have to be one of the, you know, I don't think I made a Sundance movie, but and I don't snub my nose at, you know, a regional genre festival, for example, you know. So I don't really care where I premiere. I just want to have one. You know.
Especially for your cast and your crew.
Yes, it's more for that. It really is. Like I said, filmmakers want to have. I count myself amongst the filmmakers that would like to see it at least once on the big screen. Every movie I've done, I've been able to say, yes, I had that experience of seeing it on the big screen, and that matters.
Yeah, and it's almost a marketing tool sometimes too, where if you already have distribution and then you play at a South by or you play, you know, something like or Toronto, and then you have all of that buzz. You want to build on that buzz. You already have the plan to release the movie a week later when everything is fresh in people's minds. They're like, oh shit, I can actually watch that now. That's great.
I mean, this is what the studios are doing, premiering at Cannes, for example, right? And you know the movie's coming out in 3 months or less even sometimes, but you're building all that buzz with that initial screening, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a question for you, Frank. So what is in your experience, the difference between trying to get distribution through your own means by cold calling distributors or you know, that kind of thing, versus using a sales agent?
Everything is relationships. Everything is relationships, right? I mean, I was only able to make this movie through relationships. And so I think that the sales agents, you know, if they say, oh, I'm going to take 10% of your movie or whatever, and it's like, and you sort of like, well, for making a couple phone calls, couldn't I do that myself? Maybe, but I don't have those relationships, right? And so I have a few. I mean, I have, and I think that's the longer you stick with it and you're in this business, the more you sort of build those relationships, right? So now movies that I've had premiere, you know, that got picked up by so-and-so, now I have somebody's email address. And so, and then there may be a comfort level from them. But I also think that the system is in place to keep everything in-house in a way. And it's not a good thing or a bad thing, it's just the reality. And so what I mean by that is, I think that the deciders at Tubi are more likely to talk to that sales agent who can deliver 20 movies at once, right? And then the buyer has done his job, right? And he has a trust factor with that sales agent versus me calling with one movie, and then he has to do that 20 times. And the other thing is then he has to deal with the egos of filmmakers, right? They don't want to deal with that. So I think that's the part of the value of sales agents is I'm not, you know, I can sit here on a podcast and talk about how great my movie is. I don't know that the buyer wants to hear from me. That you know what I mean? Like I may not be the best salesman for my movie. A third party saying, "Oh this guy Frank made, you know, wait till you see this thing," right? That may have more impact, right, for the buyer.
Yeah.
Also negotiations, because they're trying to get more money for it, and you know, for me, they know that as a filmmaker, I just want people to see my movie, right? So it's hard, you know, it's hard when you get down to the nitty gritty, and somebody says, "Yeah, I'll pick up my movie, I'll give you $50,000 for it," and maybe I want to ask for more, but maybe that would sound better coming from a sales agent. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
And from your recent experience, what are any places giving MGs for movies anymore? Like
It
even
really
for
depends.
little movies.
Well, you see, it depends on the perceived value of the movie. So the goal is for my movie now, I'm trying to get people frothing at the mouth to see. That's why I keep talking about Jamie Kennedy's big comeback, right? So if we can position it as this hot thing that no one's seen yet that everybody's going to want to see, it's possible. Yes, an MG is possible. But it takes work. It takes finesse, So I'm working very hard on a poster, working very hard on a trailer, and carefully wording a press release to build that initial buzz. So because money's out there, but they're only going to spend it on things they really want. So how do you position yourself as the thing they really want, right?
Yeah. And so, I mean, do you have a plan on how to build? I mean, let's say you don't get the MG you're looking for, or do you have a plan to kind of figure out how to build a buzz with the audience at least,
Building buzz is hard. I can go on Instagram and say, hey, my movie, I mean, I do it all the time. I just did it earlier this morning. I reminded everybody, hey, Christmas in July, check out my movie. Well, I have, I don't know, 2,000 followers. That's not enough. They've all seen my movie already. So I'm not the expert in that. I mean, in terms of, I've tried different things on different movies in terms of doing a little ad spend for Facebook and that kind of thing. But how buzz gets the other thing is the algorithm that, right? So it's like what you really want is for somebody to turn on Tubi. They don't know what they're going to watch tonight. Tubi tells them what they're going to watch, right? To a big extent, you start, flipping through the little icons. You're probably going to pick one of the first 10 that pops up, right? So that's the issue. So many of our, my friends' films where they go, literally, I want to watch a movie that one of my friends made, and they go, it's now available on Tubi. You go into the search, I'm clicking through, new horror, right? Okay, it's not there. Huh. So then you go to search, you start typing the name. You have to get through the whole name before it even, you know what I mean? Like they're not the algorithm is not our friend, right? It's because it's the movies that are already successful that they assume you want to watch, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you break through that? I think the only way you break through that is it comes through the right sales entity, right? So again, I use Buffalo 8 as an example where because they put out All Gone Wrong, I don't know for a fact, but it had maybe a little better placement because they have that relationship and they're delivering X number of movies every month to Tubi, right? And so, I don't know. I don't know how you build that. There's other filmmakers you talk to that say, "Oh, this is what you do." I'm thinking about this stuff. We're taking this movie to AFM in November. I'm starting to think about, do we want to do some sort of stunt? The movie's set in Hawaii. There's a lot of Hawaiian. There's a lot of Hawaiian influence in Las Vegas, where AFM will be this year. So we're thinking about that. Do we put on a little like a hula show, during AFM to build buzz? What does that mean? But that's just to interest buyers, even. I'm just trying to penetrate the few hundred buyers that come to AFM. I don't know how you get millions of people when they say, "Oh man, of all the movies that are out there, I got to see that movie." I don't know.
Yeah, so let's talk about self-distribution a little bit. I mean, you've worked on a bunch of movies that are just tiny budget and they're funded by you and your friends or whatever, at least a handful of them. What was the process, and do you think at let's say there's no stars in a movie, what is a good budget for someone to be making a movie at where they can end up making their money back?
There's no right answer to that. You could make you make a $50,000 movie, you can absolutely make $50,000 if you are willing to make your full-time job that distribute. Like I said, you know, so if you're talking about self-distributing, okay, so yes, anybody can put a movie up on YouTube, right? Getting people aware of your movie, you know, I mean, if you really know what you're doing, if you've got a title that's going to grab people, and you know, you've got a marketing plan, there's no magic answer to that. You know, like what is the budget, or what is a movie expected to make, right? Because, you know, Kevin Costner just made a, you know, $50 million movie, right? And it made 11 million at the box office, and that's a big problem for him, right? I'd be very happy if my movie made 11 million at the box office. So if those guys at that level are being thwarted by the system, you know what I mean? Like the something didn't work, something didn't click, right? There was some mixed messaging there, and then people didn't go see the movie. So something didn't work on that. So whatever you make your movie for, there's risk. And I mean, I've seen numbers from other people that say, oh, you made this rom-com and there's nobody in it, and they made it for 200,000 and it's made 400,000. Well, great. That's awesome for them. That's incredible. But that doesn't mean I would advise anybody, well, now if you spend 200,000, you're going to make 400,000.
Yeah.
Because there's somebody else with a movie this seems to me to be the same type of movie. Then they said my movie hasn't cleared 20 grand. And I don't have the answer, but I do know it has something to do with that algorithm, where if people are watching it, then the computer system tells more people to watch it. So I do know that that's something. So how you break through with that success? There's no, you know, if you're worried, I mean, the answer is to start by making a no budget movie. Make it as cheap as possible and put all your creativity into it. Make something interesting and see how it does. You know, yeah. If you make a movie for $1,000 and you get it out there and you make $10,000 on it, then go make a $10,000 movie, and keep doing that until you're Kevin Costner and you've just lost 50 million. Right. So
yeah. What's the littlest because we've all made tiny movies, but what's the littlest amount of money you've made a movie for?
Yeah, 10 grand. 10 grand.
10 grand.
Yeah.
Okay. And can you say what that was, or is it?
I think everything in the Jennifer series is in that ballpark.
Yeah.
I think that might be the most expensive of the Jennifer series.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. What do we make number 2 Jennifer for, Hunter?
The bottom line on 2 Jennifer was $2,400, and that included the film premiere, the post production, everything.
Yeah, I remember having to buy my own lunch on that movie. So.
Yeah, that might be true.
Yeah.
That was $2,400. And with that said, the distributor, who shall not be named, we have barely cleared that. Like, and when I say barely, I mean like maybe $100 or $200 over that. And that movie's been out for several years.
Well, they might have cleared that.
Oh, they've exceeded that significantly, but unfortunately, but to be fair though, my intentions with that movie wasn't to make money. My intention, obviously that would have been great, but my intention of that movie was to make movies. To Frank's point, to just go out there and make a movie and see, put something together just to say, hey, I can make a freaking movie. So yeah, no regrets or bad blood or anything. It is what it is. I mean, it's a cheap iPhone movie, but it is possible to, with the right planning and the right crew and the right people, to make a movie that is sub 10 grand or 10 grand. And in other films that I've done, at least, that have been in similar budgets, like we have been able to recoup most or all the budget, and be in the green just with small distributors and YouTube channels and Tubi TV is great for returns. Yeah, and then all these. I got a statement from a film I did, and I couldn't even recognize like 7 or 8 of the platforms that it had generated revenue on. So I think there's just so many of these streaming sites and little pay-per-view channels or whatever they are that just put out this content. It's interesting.
And maybe they're from around the world that are, and that's why you didn't really recognize them. Or
They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. It's like, like Joe Schmo's Horror Channel 101 generated, $70, or Billy Bob's pay-per-view got $42, and you're just like, what the hell? Like, what is this? Like, but people are seeing the movies, and that's the other cool thing about doing a movie that's sub 10 grand, or if you're in a position where just getting eyes on it is almost more important than the revenue, especially if you're early in your career, in my opinion, where that, if you don't want to lose Kevin Costner kind of money, but if you lose a couple grand, but you get your movie out to thousands of people, that's still pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and number two Jennifer was your first feature then, right?
Yeah, and Frank was instrumental in that. Frank was actually my only investor besides myself in that film, and helped me get that movie greenlit, and he edited the picture. So it's like,
and that came out of me seeing Hunter's shorts. I mean, I was familiar with Hunter as an actor. I knew he was a good actor, and then I saw a couple short films that knowing he had spent $0. I just really liked the vibe of his shorts and the careful consideration he gave to camera placement, lighting, that kind of thing. And so, and that's why I said yes to helping out on Two Jennifer.
Yeah, and that was at a time where we made Hunter and I met on a couple of James Cullen Bresack movies, and Zach Ward directed one of those, and we did those two, and then immediately after we jumped into Two Jennifer and Deadly Reunion. And so it was those 4 movies in maybe 5 months, and Alex was involved in a lot of those too. And it was just a wild ride.
All of them, man.
Wild
ride.
Yeah. You were involved in all of them, right, Alex? Yeah, all of them.
I was involved in all of them.
Yeah.
And Alex, aren't you in From Jennifer? You're like one of the
I am.
Yes.
Yeah, I play like special effects guy or something.
That's
it was all right.
That's
I already had knives covered in blood. It was perfect, ready to go. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Dude, yeah, Alex was the production designer for Two Jennifer. And were you in For Jennifer also at that party scene? I don't recall. We had a big party.
Yeah,
Christian,
the costume party for sure.
Yeah, you might have been in that too, Christian. I think we
Christian's in that. Christian's in that.
Yeah. That one was Jody Barton's entry to the franchise, which is actually one of my favorites of all of them. I really like that one.
It's a great.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
I don't remember if I've seen it.
Let's do a shout out here to anybody watching. It's a 4-film franchise, and it's available on Tubi and all the other. I mean, a lot of the free streamers we've been talking about. So if you haven't seen Two Jennifer is the first one, James Cullen Bresack, right?
Yep.
And then the sequel is Two Jennifer, the number 2. That's the one Hunter did. The third one's called From Jennifer. I like to call that the Halloween 3 of the series because it's not really related to the first 2. But then For Jennifer, FOR, For Jennifer ties them all together. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
So check it out. So it's a great, if you want to marathon them all. Yeah.
Yeah. A weird, no budget, epic collection of movies that are all very, very different.
Yeah, similar in theme, but different in execution.
Yeah.
So there you go. So how do you pimp the movies? You go on podcasts like this and tell people to go out and watch your movies.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure anybody could just make a sequel to those too. Just all they have to do is just ask James. He'll be like, go ahead.
Yep. Ask nicely.
Yeah. So and Jonathan, what's the lowest budget you've ever worked with on a feature?
Probably 10. Maybe it was probably a little more than 10 if we think about it. It might have hiked up maybe another 5.
And what movie was that?
Black Devil Doll.
Black Devil Doll. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably one of those ones that you're just making it and you're shooting as you go, and you don't really add everything up.
The initial 10 was we had, and we invested in it, but then afterwards, some of the post stuff, actually it was our marketing and all of our other things that we were putting into it. So I mean, the actual filming, yeah, it's all 10. But yeah, it was a labor of love. My brother had a house, and we were I was sleeping on the floor throughout the entire production. Some of the actors weren't actors, and they just, they worked at the store down the street, or some of them were from the strip club. And it was a labor of love. We loved it, and we were just making the movie we wanted to make, and it was fun. And then once we put out the trailer, it was, some people took to it. Some people liked it. And we're like, okay, let's go.
I mean, did you make more on merch than anything?
Yeah. And the weird thing was, it's like kind of what you're talking about, Frank. That was a weird era of, you're too late for direct to video, but then you're too early for any kind of viral social media boom. So it was a weird section where we were when promoting it. It was at the dawn of all, that was 2008.
Yeah, it was a weird time when physical media started to go away. Nobody knew. There was a time where it was like you either got on Netflix or you didn't have a movie.
Yeah, but it was strange to us because our we were distributed through Grindhouse releasing, and that we thought, everybody's gonna see it.
Yeah.
Or at least I thought that.
Yeah.
But
Did
the license on that movie lapse for release? Is it ever going to come out?
It's out of print now. I mean, I have 3 other partners on that film that we split everything. Yeah. And I have to connect back with them to see maybe we can put it up on Tubi. I think it's one of those movies that I just want people to see at this point, and just for it to be out there. So
because it basically just got a DVD release.
Yeah, we had a DVD release, and we were on one of the VODs, and I think it's still on one of them. I can't remember the name. It's like Hunter was saying, you find these ones that you never heard of. And one of my partners, he emailed that place to me recently, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh, okay, so I can rent it there, but nobody knows it's there.
Okay. Yeah, so Frank, you're working on getting this thing finished. So you just hit your final cut.
Yeah, that's right.
You just locked your cut. I mean,
just locked it. Yeah. So now I'm doing sound cleanup myself. I have a composer working and a color correction, and that's about it. I mean, and then the date we're looking for is November for selling it. And between now and then, I'm just in the hands of my sales agent to do whatever sort of tricks we can do to build some buzz amongst buyers. It's too early to generate audience buzz, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not really doing that. You haven't heard of the movie because I'm not actively trying to sell the movie, right? So, and because it's a very weird movie with a lot of plot twists, I'm trying to figure out exactly the language for selling it, right? So it's set in Hawaii. It has a lot of tropical themes to it. So it's there's scenes in a tiki bar. Jamie Kennedy's character is sort of a parrot head, like a Jimmy Buffett type. So I'm calling it a dark fantasy tiki film, right? Okay. So tiki bars are making a big comeback right now. So why not tiki movies too, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Frank, for coming on the show. And
Yeah.
can you give us where we can find you and all your info?
Yeah, so it's Frank Merle, and my last name Merle. I'm on Instagram a lot. That's where you should find me. I talk about my movies on Insta. So just at Frank Merle.
And you have a website?
LoneMorsel.com. So that's my production company is Lone Morsel, and all my movies are there too.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on, and good luck with everything, Namaka, in the near future. And
got it.
we'll be keeping a lookout for it, and we'll talk to you soon.